Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody. Oh, that was a quarter. Fell on my computer. Quarter computer.
Starting well. Starting strong. Good.
It's June 14th. I'm Ryan Miller. And it's Marmalade Day. Say hello to Matt Amberg.
Oh, no. Throwing it to me. Throwing it right back.
Wow, man, we've got a thing. It's like an unspoken thing, but we keep talking during it.
What are we doing here?
We're Book Club for Movies. We watch one movie a week. We talk about it. You can join the conversation by emailing us, Twittering us, Facebooking us. It doesn't matter.
Slap us across the face with written things on your hand so that it's stuck to our face and we have to decode it by looking in the mirror.
Preferably, actually. I should lead with that from now on.
Yeah, start with that. I think, yeah, good idea.
And we'll bring it into the show. We'll talk about it. It'll be a show. You'll see. This week, it's a Paddington.
That's right. It's Paddington. Paddington comes in at you an hour and 35 minutes, written and directed by Paul King, starring Hugh Bonneville, Sally Hawkins, Julie Walters, Nicole Kidman, and Ben Whishaw as Paddington. This movie is available on Netflix. It's also around on Amazon, iTunes, Google, all that stuff. Here is your Paddington synopsis.
When a radioactive meteorite strikes the depths of darkest Peru. Sorry, just kidding.
No, keep going. I like this. This is going
that's all
well.
I got. That's the joke.
When a massive earthquake hits a forest in darkest Peru, a very rare bear is forced to leave what's left of his home and his family to make a new life in a strange place with strange people and loads of marmalade. Taken in by the Browns, the newly named Paddington must learn how to navigate new friends, a busy London, and being hunted by a taxidermist with an eye for very rare bears. It's awful, right? The worst accent.
No, it was very good. It was
very good.
I didn't even say that, but it was. So let's lead with your history with Paddington. You recommended this film. You have a history with it, and I want to hear about it.
Yeah. So when I was little, one of the few stuffed animals I had from like day one was a Paddington. I had a Paddington bear.
An actual Paddington, not knockoff Paddington.
No, well, it could have been a knockoff. It looked, but it had, he had the blue jacket, he had his red hat, he had his wellies on.
You didn't do the kid thing where it was like any bear, but you're like, this one's Paddington.
No. It was
Paddington.
It was Paddington. It was
okay,
actually
right.
Paddington.
Okay.
And I had carried the thing around. I carried him around with me, and I had all sorts of like coloring books, and my dad read me the stories when I was young, and I just kind of always grew up loving Paddington, and he was one of those characters, and even the stuffed animal was one of those things that I feel like for me, every kid in the world should have a Paddington bear. Like it's like for a lot of people that might be Pooh or Mickey Mouse, and I love those kids, but Paddington, it was that bear for me. It was like I loved my Paddington bear, and right. So when the movie came out, I was super super excited to see it, and I watched it, and we'll talk about it now.
All right. Okay. So I'll follow up with my history. My kids watched Paddington.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good history. Long, storied.
But I need to thank you because my kids watch a lot of movies. And while like early on into their movie viewing lives, I took an active role in, not letting them watch crappy movies. There's lots of crappy kid movies, and every now and then one would make its way into the house, and I would delete it. My wife would be like, "What are you doing? It doesn't matter." And I'm just kidding.
No,
she
you're
very
not.
nicely wondered what I was doing because it was weird and obsessive. Because film school Ryan's at it again. Like I'm demeaning myself here. That's not my wife's voice. Ask anybody. They're like, I only let my kids watch good movies because film school. It's stupid.
No, yeah, no.
It's the latest thing.
You were definitely you can't watch the Michael Bay Transformers, only the animated movie.
Exactly. No, that's well, even that one's like a little, I don't know. But what has happened is as I've gotten worse at that and my kids have watched some bad things, I tend to not pay attention to some of the things that they are watching. My wife will take them to a movie. My wife will download something for them and they'll watch it. So I've known Paddington existed and that movie existed, and I've seen it off and on while it's been on, while I've been around, while they've been playing it. I didn't know, and this is where I have to thank you, that it's a fantastic movie.
Right? Like this movie has no business being
so
as good as it is.
No, not at all. And and this is maybe a good conversation as far as kids movies go. It might seem easy to make a kids movie, and to the extent that kids will watch just about anything, sure. But this is not one of those things. And
I have one specific reason for it. Not just one, but there is one that just stands out to me heads and tails above anything else, in that this movie is never patronizing to kids. It never plays down to kids. No. It just plays. Like, Paddington is exactly what I wanted Paddington to be. Like, he's young, but he's not an idiot. He's naive. Yeah. Like a kid. But they don't play down. They never play down to it.
Yeah, I mean, Paddington, especially being a bear, coming from Beartown.
Darkest Peru.
From the jungle.
Of Darkest Peru.
Yeah, they play up the whole fish out of water aspect, as opposed to, him being stupid or something like that. So yes, perfect point. Like, kids movies, that's maybe the primary difference if you ever want to know, like, if this movie is actually... for your kids. Does it treat kids as stupid? Does it talk down to them? Does it talk to them, and maybe it's because this is made for a larger audience. Like, I would say this isn't necessarily a kids movie, honestly.
No, I think this is legitimately a good family film, because like, this is not a movie. I sat down and watched this with my wife. We don't have any kids in the house to watch this movie, and I love this movie. It's just a good movie.
It is.
And like, not every movie for adults has to be... It has to be super serious, or has to be, it can be fun, but it has to have that edge to it. It can just be a fun, good, silly movie. And that's what this is.
So yeah, excellent point. There's way more going on here than you would assume. Also, it's way better than it really has any right to be.
Yeah, no. And I mean, this is coming from somebody, like, I love Paddington. I did not expect this movie to kind of hit every note that not only Paddington needed to hit for him to like feel like this is the Paddington that I feel like I remember from being a child, which is an unreasonable expectation. Believe me, I know that.
Yeah.
But
has there been Paddington sorry, not to interrupt you, media? Like, was there a cartoon or something like that? There were cartoons.
I feel like there were cartoons. It was like. Again, Paddington was more, for me, it was more about the time spent with my dad and the stuffed animal. Like, that was what it was. It wasn't, like I said, I had coloring books.
Any movie can live up to that is a freaking miracle,
right?
And on its own. Like,
this is a movie. This is totally a movie that if my dad were around, like, I would fly to wherever he was and sit down and watch this with him, because I know he'd like it. Like, it's like, this movie is. It hits notes in very similar ways as, and this is going to sound really like out of left field, but The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Where it's totally a family movie. Yes, it's got a little more fright to it, I guess. It's got a little more adult theme to it. Right. But it's still, to me, is one of those movies almost anybody at any age can watch, get something really great out of, and it never panders to any age group. Like, it never talks down.
Perfect.
And the part of that being that it's also a story in a story. It's being told to a kid, and Peter Falk never talks down to Fred Savage. And
it's also freaking made, like, this entire world is made out of story and out of storytelling, even, you could say.
Totally. Like, there are visual cues and visual devices that kind of are used throughout, and I love them. I love them so much. They're really good. In particular, there's when they're kind of talking about like, Paddington is explaining who the Browns are, and it's like in this dollhouse, and the way it's filmed, like, they're all miniatures, but they're all doing their thing, and then the camera kind of swoops to one and swoops to the other, and
they're performing within the dollhouse. Like, they're not like miniatures. It's not animated or anything. They're actually themselves. But as he tells the story of the family, it kind of moves from room to room on the dollhouse and explains. Those little touches are by far the most well done part of the movie, and also the best part of the movie, period. But to get us to there, Paddington, there is an earthquake. He has to leave home, and shows up at the train station at Paddington, and is just sitting there expecting the world that his parents have described to them, because there's this story. And I gotta say, I'm also super excited that they didn't do a kind of scientific abnormality thing about it. Like, he's a talking bear. You know, people are going to want it. Like, that's never the thing.
He's just a very rare bear.
He's just a very rare bear. So good. But his parents had described to him this world where he could show up at a train station with a tag around his neck and somebody would pick him up and give him a home. You know, and then they got this from the explorer that came and, you know, didn't bring back a specimen because he met them and talked to them and realized that they were, you know, good people, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so he's at the train station. He's got this tag around his neck, and of course, nobody's paying attention to him.
The one thing I do want to kind of like jump in with this real fast is that not only is nobody paying attention to him, but nobody cares that he's a bear. Like, and this is a theme throughout the whole movie, is that nobody is surprised that there's a bear around. Like, they're kind of like, oh, you're a bear. What are you doing here? Like, not like scared. It's nobody is terrified of Paddington. It's just like, oh, there's a bear in a coat and a hat. What are you doing? You're in my way, you know, like.
But it's perfect because, like I said, this isn't like he needs to hide and be secret, because if somebody sees him, they're going to be like, what, a talking bear? This is him existing in the world and everybody still being the self-absorbed adult that, you know, this movie kind of rails against, you know, type thing.
Yeah.
So, which any good kids movie does, if you think about it.
Sure. Adults are the worst.
But he's sitting there at the train station, and when the Brown family does finally take note of him, he's sitting in front of the Lost and Found at the train station. And this is kind of the first little touch that I noticed anyways, that when she walks up and starts talking to him and he brightens up and starts talking to her, the found part of the sign lights up, like ding, you know.
Yeah.
And then they have their conversation about,
I didn't notice that. It's good. But there are so many little touches like that. Yeah.
The world is made of storytelling, like, and there are the kind of more obvious things like that dollhouse bit, which comes back later at the end as well.
Yeah.
But there's also, not to move too fast in the story, but I guess eventually he gets taken back to the house and they're looking for the explorer that found his parents, because that's where Paddington's home is, supposedly. The dad is not so into his arrival. The dad and the daughter, the mother and the son, are very much the free spirits that the movie lauds and are very receptive to Paddington.
And I definitely want to say that Hugh Bonneville and Sally Hawkins, like, again, you go into a movie like this and you get names like Hugh Bonneville and Sally Hawkins, and you think, okay, this is one. They're just this is a paycheck for them. This is no, like, they're freaking fantastic. Yeah. Hugh Bonneville is awesome. Like, I've seen him so often in a almost a similar role from, you know, Downton Abbey. And he's clearly, you know, he's
that's right.
He's a little more toned down, I think, in this that he is.
I knew he was freaking like familiar. Like, I knew he was in everything. I didn't.
That's totally the one that all I see of him now is Downton Abbey. And he like, but he's great. Like, he's not super heavy with the kids or with Paddington, but you can see that he's like, he just wants life to go back to normal. And he is the way that they write him too is great, because he's very precise with things. Every time his son wants to go do something, he's like, no, jumping is 13% of accidents.
He's a risk assessment
officer or something like that.
Officer, something like that. Yeah, that's his job.
And he takes that into everything he does, and it's great. Like, it's a funny like quirk for him that works out in this bizarre family dynamic where Sally Hawkins, who I think personally steals the movie in every scene she's in. Like, she is just like, she has the best face, like the like when she smiles, it's like just there's just such a light, and it's totally that scene when she.
I just realized she's Shape of Water.
She's the Shape of Water, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And when she's because she's the one who chooses his name, like, her face is just so. There's just this big grin, and it's just so, you know, she's gonna call him Paddington. It's
really
like,
good.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect, yeah. So I just wanted to call them out real quick, because they were like, the kids were great. Them out. The kids were great, but again, those two were just beyond good for this movie. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. So yeah, they've brought Paddington home. They're looking for the explorer, and it brings them to what is he? Is he a antiques dealer or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
He's an old friend.
Because he has the hat that he got from the explorer, and they show him the hat, and he's like, "Oh, this is from the Geographers Club."
The Geographers Guild, I think. Yeah.
Guild, that's what it was. Yeah. So they know the next step. They know where to go. They get there, and to actually get the information, it turns into kind of a heist scene with Hugh Bonneville and Paddington.
And again, I want to point. This is another one of those great scenes where everything you see like in the world just kind of seems normal, but then they go into this place and it's like really like they've got pneumatic tubes everywhere.
Yeah. It's like a freaking Harry Potter. It's like a Ministry of Magic or something.
It's so weird, but it's just so, again, they just kind of walk in and it's just expected to be that, whatever.
And it's freaking awesome. And I apologize, I'm moving too fast because we were talking about the world being made of story, and I wanted to say that the next time that pops up is when they're talking to that antiques dealer, and he starts to tell them the story about it's his story actually, from coming over, because it sounds like he's a refugee from Germany,
right,
from the Second World War, or his parents were, or something like that, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, the story is told again by a train set that comes out of a cuckoo clock that then turns into a storytelling device that, you see the people moving inside and stuff like that. Another one of those touches. But yes, they go to the Geographers Club. It turns into that heist movie. And it's also the kind of the basis for Paddington and Hugh Bonneville's relationship throughout the rest of the movie, because Hugh Bonneville's the one that the family has to turn, right? He's the one that wants to look like he's in this to get rid of Paddington so far, even this heist kind of up to this point.
He's definitely placating Sally Hawkins. Like he's like, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
One night.
So they have the heist, and that's their relationship, but also there's this thing that happens, and I can't actually remember what order, but this happened before because it came from the antiques dealer where he sees a pickpocket, and Paddington goes to chase the guy to give him back the wallet, but ends up foiling the pickpocket, and all these wallets come out, and he becomes a hero, and then he gets on the good side because this happens in front of the daughter's school, so then she's new at school, and they're like, "Do you know that bear?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess so," and then the daughter's in now. So basically Hugh Bonneville's the only one that's out still.
Right.
They do have the heist, but it's still kind of, Paddington's made some mistakes. And tell me if this is a part of Paddington's character, I couldn't remember exactly, that he's kind of klutzy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a bear. He's not like
all bears are klutzy.
I don't know that he's not as klutzy as Pooh. Like I think Pooh is like way clumsier, but he is clumsy.
Gotcha. You're right. This is a racist stereotype, isn't it?
All bear all the time.
Not all bears. I think that's what you meant to say.
Yes. Nab.
But throughout to this relationship building, which the movie is exceptionally good at, I guess maybe is what I'm trying to get at, it tells the story of the father and how they bring the kids into the hospital he brings his wife into the hospital on the back of a motorcycle to have their first baby, and like with a big old handlebar and long little hair, like total 70s stuff or whatever. And then comes out of having that baby being the risk, like there's already a Volvo waiting for them. And he's like, this is our car now.
His hair is immediately cut. He's wearing all the bland outfit and everything. Yeah. It's so funny.
It's done so well. And the fact that comes from the grandma who's kind of she's supporting. Like she's pretty far removed. We don't see a ton of her, but she's fantastic.
Julie Winters.
Okay. Yeah. All I knew is she's
super funny in this.
Mom Weasley. That's all I knew.
Mommy Weasley.
But she does great, and she is telling this story to the kids so that the kids kind of gain some perspective on their father, whereas before they were kind of just like talking to Paddington, being like, our dad's never going to be into it. He's boring. Like he's the problem. Like all this stuff. And she's like, no, like this is what happened. Like you guys happened, right?
Yeah, you ruined him. Kids ruining lives.
I feel like I'm talking too much. This is the story.
No, man.
No? Okay.
Keep going. I love it.
All right. In any form, you just love to be told the story of Paddington.
I do. I love it. One of the other things that's happening, by the way, throughout this and continues throughout the movie is another one of these little touches that I absolutely love. And it's funny because it's one of those weird reminiscent something about Mary things. Where did that come from? There are all these musical asides. Like
Oh,
they'll
the band is
be going
awesome,
somewhere
man.
and there's a band in the background playing and singing right to the camera, and
it's like island music too.
Yeah, it's like Cuban music or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, it totally is. It's freaking Buena Vista Social Club,
Right.
like, all over the place.
And it's great. Like, and it fits the movie. Like, that's the other thing is the music in this movie. It's very much so kind of follows that kind of island feel to it, and it's really great. Like, it's cool. And I love I love the band that just they're there all the time. They're just
there in the world. Like, they walk past them and they're playing. Like, I love it when movies do that, but not all movies. Like, I could think of maybe 2 that actually succeed.
Sure.
You know, it's just again, the world they create, like, it's made up of storytelling. Like, the band the music is pertinent to the story as well.
Yeah.
So they find the name of the geographer, and they find the video that we see at the top of the film, but it's a newsreel that he produced, and it's very, it's that old-fashioned, like, around the world.
News from around the world.
Yeah.
In darkest Peru.
And it's maybe the moment, but it's again, I love it when films do this, because it's any film that can speak to the importance of film is kind of a miracle all on its own.
Sure.
Without coming off as I do when I talk about film school or anything like that. Self-reflexivity is hard, period. This does it so well. They find that video and it starts playing, and Paddington sees his home, which last he saw was destroyed, and he walks through the film, and it becomes he's back home, and it's more vibrant, I feel, than it's ever been. And it speaks to another trick that I see them use that I actually didn't catch on till the end, because eventually they find out that the daughter of this explorer is
Nicole Kidman, the evil taxidermist,
the bad guy of the film. So he literally walks up straight to her door, and this is after he's left because he overheard a conversation about, from the father talking about how he doesn't want the bear there. I forget. He's made some mistakes. He makes a few clumsy mistakes.
He is concerned that the bear, that Paddington is still dangerous and that he's clumsy.
And I guess Nicole Kidman broke in and she looked like an elephant. So, in fact, that's another theme that runs throughout. Like, from the very beginning when...
beginning?
I think I said that. I did say that. I said it on accident that time. But the very beginning where he starts his story in the train station about how he got there.
Yeah.
And Hugh Bonneville is like, oh, here we go. Like he's one of those guys on the street that's like, I ran out of gas, man, and I lost my job. And I totally laughed at that. But Nicole Kidman tries to break in, and she looks like an elephant. So his story is that an elephant tried to break in and blah, 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 and there was a fire in the house. So they still think he's dangerous. So they have a conversation that he overhears and leaves. But speaking of the color shift, whenever Paddington leaves somewhere, it's completely muted. Like, watch that scene again and you'll see that after he's left, like, whereas before the kitchen, a lot of this takes place in the kitchen. It's a small house, or whatever that is, dining room, I guess. It's full of brights, like really bright, like primary colors just everywhere.
Sure.
The red, yellow, blue, just everything looks vibrant and beautiful. And then he leaves and it's like all grays, like muted blues. And,
I didn't notice
stuff like that.
I didn't notice the color channel. I'll have to go back and look at that because I do love stuff
like that. It's really cool, yeah.
There is a moment, like, and they do kind of call it out a little bit with there is this in their entryway, they've got a tree that's painted on the wall, and throughout the movie, as things change, the tree changes, the leaves blow away, the leaves change color, then they blow away. Then
they blow away after Hugh Bonneville has been out looking for Paddington and still can't reconnect, and Paddington's been gone for even longer. So now even the leaves on the trees, on the paintings in the wall are falling off. So again, the whole thing's just made a story, man. It's done really well.
It is.
So yes, Nicole Kidman ends up getting Paddington. They realize she has him. They go to rescue him. And there's another great moment where the wife, being a children's book illustrator.
She's an artist.
But she can't find the face for the hero of one of her books.
It's the thing that's holding her book up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she can't write it.
And there's another moment like this in the film, but they are to the point where somebody has to literally go out on a ledge to rescue Paddington, and the husband steps up. Hugh Bonneville steps up.
Yeah.
His actual character name steps up. I should learn these things.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Paddington Brown. That's
Gosh dang it. Mr. Brown steps up, and in that moment of like pure bravado and saying, I'm the one, you know, I'll do this, like her face is just goes into pure swoon. His face fills in that picture of that hero. Like is literally drawn in.
Yeah.
And then it's on. So he gets out there, and in the end, they rescue Paddington. It comes down to a rooftop showdown, and the marmalade sandwich, he's held under his hat the whole time, which has been a running joke. He's like, my dad always said to keep a marmalade sandwich in your hat in case of emergency. You're like, oh, that's cute. Like, in case you need an emergency bite of your marmalade.
Which I do love, by the way, that they take that joke one step further when Paddington is alone and he goes and sits. It's raining, and he goes and sits underneath like an awning, and there's one of the Queen's guards there with the giant hats on, and he wants to eat, but he doesn't have anything to eat. He can't eat the sandwich because the birds keep coming at him. And then the guard pulls off, like, he hands him a whole thing of tea, and he's got like a sandwich and like a thermos, and he just puts the thermos on top of his head and then puts the hat back down.
Good stuff, man. It's really good. But then in that moment, at that showdown, he pulls out the sandwich, and it literally, like, she's got the gun on them, and he essentially uses the sandwich to save the day because it was an emergency. The pigeons come in, and etc.
It's a Finding Nemo moment too.
It was a really good marmalade sandwich payoff.
Yeah.
Nay, the best one I've ever seen.
Top tier marmalade.
So good. And in the process, we find out that Nicole Kidman is the daughter, and her life was disgraced because her father didn't bring back a specimen, and nobody believed what he said, and he was excommunicated from the guild, and all this stuff. So it's
there's a ton of dynamic there too.
Well, it's like this childish indictment of the whole imperialist, like, superiority garbage thing that Britain went through, that the U.S. went through, that all adults seem to go through in their worst possible state, you know?
Jeez, you got
maybe I'm reading. Yeah, I don't know.
No. You're correct. I just love it.
It's this ministry of, like, people yelling at him for not bringing back a trophy, essentially. Yeah,
you know,
it's crazy.
It's good.
It's crazy.
You know, it's a great family movie.
It's a great movie, man. Whatever.
Great sit on your butt, watch it because you're an adult movie. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it.
Got like 523.5 stars
out of 40. Go really watch it. And that, my friends, was the wonderful story of Paddington Brown. Check that out again. It's available on the Netflix. You can get it also if you want to pay for it, and you can download it in places.
Hey, I'm gonna ruin everything. How's the sequel?
Haven't seen it yet.
Really?
Haven't seen it yet. I've been very much so looking forward to it. I've only heard good things, that it follows up very well.
Okay.
Something I actually, you know what? This is one thing I wanted to mention overall for that movie before I wrap this totally up.
Okay. I might adjust the stars awarded based on what you have to say at this point, but
I don't think so. But
okay.
This kind of goes along with that whole storybook thing that keeps coming back, and that there are stories within stories. I actually really, really, really love the way they animated the bears. There is like an otherworldly quality to them, and more than anything, something that I noticed immediately was that his fur is very like they truly were trying to animate a stuffed animal, and because it looks like stuffed animal fur, and I love it. Yep. Like, it was so perfect for me in that respect. Like, love it.
You literally brought up the one note that I skipped over and is still sitting over here on the left. I have written down CGI triumph. like in a world where CGI basically means explosions or really good looking toys, you know, or something like that, which it doesn't. There's CGI and everything, and it looks great. The Fast and Furious, I had no idea that was not Paul Walker half the time. But to make it in this world like something so soft and so fluffy and so like positive, I feel like it's so hard to do. You just don't see that done with CGI especially.
So, yeah, it's one
and
of
you buy it all. Period.
It's one of those moments of CGI where they could have gone really far with it, and maybe I'm reading into it. Maybe this was somebody overthinking it, but it feels like they put on the restraint and said, okay, let's not do this as a try to be photorealistic. Let's do this, in a softer way, and knowing that if you put it into context of where Paddington comes from, he looks like a bear, but he looks like a soft, cuddly cartoon bear, and I loved it. I think it's great.
It is. So I will add one more star because of that, actually.
And we will deduct a star from what it's out of.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to keep
math.
Yeah. So that, my friends, is the rest of Paddington. We've got next week's book club for movie selection is going to be a little more on the serious side. We're going to be watching the George Clooney vehicle, Michael Clayton. This one's available on Netflix and other places you want to pay for and download it. You can enjoy it there. Michael Clayton. I'm excited for this one. I haven't seen it before.
One of my favorites. I shoved it in your face.
You down?
Seems like
I'm super excited for it.
All right.
You rarely shove.
You rarely don't rarely.
You rarely shove movies in my face. So I'm excited for this one.
We'll have at the very least a good Tony Gilroy discussion.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
So that, my friends, is the rest of Paddington. Check that out. If you liked it, if you got something else to say, hit us up, podcast@bookclubformovies.com. It was fun. It was great. Now it's done. The rest of the show is Here We Go.
Poetry.
I'm going to jump in here because I think
because it doesn't matter.
I think you and I watched two movies at the same two of the same movies.
It was bound to happen. I did not plan this.
So we watched 3 of the same movies this week, which actually is shocking. But these two, Paddington. But these two,
I counted that one.
Yeah. Okay. Good. One of them was brought up by a Jonathan Blade, friend of the show. The other was kind of brought up because of that, and I hadn't seen it yet. So we both ended up watching Max Payne.
We both came to them in different ways, but yes, let's start with Max Payne. I think that one we came in the same way. Yes,
Max Payne is runs an hour
Jonathan
40.
Blade mentioned it in passing, and we felt obligated basically
Because I don't remember if he hadn't seen it or if it was.
I don't know.
I just remember I hadn't seen it in forever, so I decided to watch it. And
basically, somebody just said the name Max Payne,
and we went,
in a
let's watch a
cinematic
movie.
capacity. Yeah, and then it just it automatically started playing. I had it queued up, sitting there with my thumb on the play button, and then it happened.
Sure. So. Max Payne comes in an hour and 40 minutes, directed by John Moore, written by Bo Thorne, starring Mark Wahlberg, Mila Kunis, Beau Bridges, and Ludacris.
Oh, you mean the character BB from the movie?
Yeah, Beau Bridges. BB. He hated his name in the script so much that he was like, no, it's BB.
I don't know if that's true, but it should be.
Yeah, so this is a bad movie. Let's just go with that.
Whoa. Let's not move past the 30 seconds of good movie before we say it's a bad movie. Like the very beginning, we got Mark Wahlberg narrating in just the pulpiest, I don't know what he says, but it's something about life and death and
very pulpy. Yeah.
As he's floating through the water, looking like Max Payne. In fact, it cuts to I'm pretty sure animated thing for a second where he's, there's other bodies at the bottom of the river. He talks about how many bodies have made it to the bottom of that river. He's just another body or something to that effect.
Yeah, he says body a bunch of times, though.
It's a promising 30 seconds. Like, I at the beginning was like, man, maybe this is going to be better than I remember.
No,
because I don't have...
that right there is exactly what happened. You're like, maybe this is going to be... Nope.
Yeah.
It quickly jumps downhill.
It does. Like it maintains kind of that single-minded direction for the first 30 minutes or so. Like a lot of the shots are very much composed like you'd think they would be because remember, this is Max Payne, the video game that has, cutscenes that are comic books, basically.
Right.
So I think it sticks to that for at least 20 minutes in a way that's like directorially is pretty cool. Like it's evocative. Like I thought of that stuff when I saw it.
Yeah, like this is a movie that as it progresses, it definitely gets worse.
Oh man,
and you hit it, but you hit it
precipitously.
But you hit a critical mass, and again, hour and 40 minutes. You hit a critical mass at like minute 28. It's like, and then from there on, you're just like pulling your hair out. Like I had to watch this in 2 parts because it was just that awful. Like I was I gotta stop. I can't.
It's kind of when Mila Kunis shows up, man.
Peter
like,
Molyneux.
I like Mila Kunis in darn near everything. She's a bad thing in this.
Yeah, I love that they specifically bring her in on this movie because she speaks fluent Russian. Is that what
it was?
It is 100%. She is brought in because she's fluent. She speaks fluent Russian, and they wanted it for 4 scenes because
her character is bad.
Because that way
her portrayal isn't great.
Because that way they can give her they give Olga Kurylenko an Americanized sister. Stupid. I actually like Olga Kurylenko. She's
fine too.
But she is like, everybody is criminally under-directed here or over-directed, and also the script is bad.
The script is bad.
It's a bad story and it's a bad script. You know, I don't remember demons being in the first Max Payne game. Am I wrong?
No, I mean they look like somebody on the team knows what a noir is. Like there's a moment where, because like a traditional noir isn't necessarily pleasant to watch.
Double Indemnity.
Right. It's something where the protagonist gets completely lost. Like it's a maze. Like he just keeps going deeper and deeper to the point where you don't know if he's ever going to escape, if he ever escapes. And I feel like somebody on the team knew that at some point. And again, I'm sure as soon as Mark Wahlberg got attached, like this started running through so many hands that, you know, a lot of this was going to get lost. But
sure,
I feel like somebody knew what a noir was, and a Max Payne noir freaking works, period. Like that's a beautiful idea.
Well, that's part of what Sam Lake was going for when he created the game. It's a comic. Right. It's a noir comic book.
But they don't, like it completely falters.
No, and one of the things that they have going for it in this movie is they kind of did that whole Sin City thing with the style and like all the snow is
sure.
It's very black and white, and I actually like that for this. Like
it looks pretty good, actually. Yeah.
There's some. I think there are actually some really good cinematic choices from a visual standpoint.
Yeah. Even with that angel stuff, that's like not actually in anything ever.
As a story thing, sure, I can get behind it, but it's. Like this is one of those things where they're trying to compound his backstory with another backstory on top of a current thing that's going. It's like you're trying to juggle 5 things in a thing that you don't need. All you got to juggle is, why is Max Payne angry and almost dead? Because they killed his family. He's going to get them. John Wick.
Why,
Go do that.
Well, shit, this is before John Wick.
Right.
That seems easy to say now.
Well, I'm saying it retroactively.
But they do like as far as a noir goes, he's never really out of control. Like he's maybe a little lost sometimes, but the pacing is so bad that doesn't, like, that completely loses everything too. And
every character that he deals with in terms of like the police officers, it's like it's such a neutered thing. It literally is that, you better not do this, Payne, or we're coming after you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go do it. Okay, but you better not do the next thing, Payne. All right, well I'm doing that too.
Yeah, he's Max Payne from the Rockstar game before he's Max Payne from the Remedy games. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. But you're right in that I found myself wondering why they framed it like they did, because it's 3 years after his wife died, but he's hung up on that case, but then there's this new case, and they end up being related. Like it's all, but I don't know why they didn't just make it, why there are many movies I wonder why they bookend it like they do. Yeah. And this one, I feel like they should have just started with, and shoulda, woulda, coulda, armchair, whatever, should have just started with Max Payne's with the murder of his wife and kid, or put that in the first act somewhere, or make that the first act break if you want. They put it in the middle of the movie here. So, I mean, you kind of already have all that information and nothing is really added at that point in a movie that's paced so poorly that, it just makes it worse. So
speaking of pacing, Let's talk about Tomb Raider 2018, not the one starring Angelina Jolie. The one that runs an hour and 58 minutes was directed by possibly the greatest directing name of all time, Roar Uthog. I'm wondering if that's a kind of like an Alan Smithy thing, and the guy was like, "Man, I'm not happy with this." Roar Uthog.
It's a name and a lifestyle, man.
It is.
Let's put it that way.
You know, live in La Vida Uthog. Written by Geneva Robertson Dworet and Alastair Siddons, starring Alicia Vikander, Dominic West, and Walton Goggins. This one is available for rent or purchase on the Amazon, the iTunes, those places, Xbox.
So this
PS4.
doesn't matter, but how did you come into this one?
So I hadn't seen it, obviously,
okay,
and the talking of Max Payne, and then on top of that, like in the same Twitter thing, like I saw Jonathan Blade said something about Max Payne, and then right above it was Tomb Raider, blah blah blah, and I went, oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. I haven't seen the new one. And if I'm gonna watch Max Payne, might as well watch Tomb Raider too.
Yeah, no,
because I'm hoping that it would be a cleansing of sorts after Max Payne.
So I saw this before Max Payne, and it was funny because I like how it's the Jonathan Blade channel over here.
Yeah, this is the Jonathan Blade podcast. We're huge fans.
I did
at
see
Jonathan Blade 1.
I did see him tweet about it, so I was like, oh, I'm literally watching this movie at the same time.
Or maybe that's where it came from. I don't know now. Now you've confused me.
Well, no, this is my story. You have a different story, remember? So Tomb Raider came out, and it does involve all those people. And I love that the segue was about pacing, because for the first 30 minutes of this movie, I really liked it. Not to say that I hated the rest of it, but I really liked the first 30 minutes.
Yep. I'm with you.
It's paced really well. Like it's not boilerplate, but it's written in a familiar format.
Sure.
Let's say.
Yeah. It's competent. It's competent in that. I don't think there's anything else to say in terms of, like, I agree with you 100%. It's
okay.
It was comfortable. You kind of knew what you were getting, and the packaging is a little different.
It just looked good. I love the introduction of Laura. Like her character, I thought was actually pretty well done. They set up this story about her, and the more the movie went on, I realized the more this was an adaptation of the current Tomb Raider, like through and through.
Yeah,
the current series, the reboot or whatever.
Which is making me want to go play those games because I haven't played any of them.
I'm telling you, man, I'm feeling a trilogy run on those right now. I have the first one. I think it was free. You probably have it too.
Yeah, there's for Xbox. They did
the definitive edition. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the second one is on Game Pass, I believe, still.
So I don't have that.
But anyways. But yeah, her character is very much that one that they kind of gave us in that reboot, in that she's not Lara Croft yet, you know?
Yeah, she's learning.
She's coming to terms with her namesake, I guess you could say. Her father was an explorer. He got lost. Does she follow in his footsteps? She is brilliant. Like, there's a really good scene, a really good character building scene where she is a bike messenger, and she's kind of, you know, down in the dirt with these guys. You know, she's in the trenches, but she drops a Hamlet quote or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't know what that's from. And then the guy, I forget, I think he's setting up the next part of the movie, but he's like, I know you know that's Hamlet. And she kind of just brushes it off. Like, that's a really perfect moment. Like,
no,
I
totally.
love that.
And actually, there's another moment of just showing the character's ingenuity, and I thought it was really well done because it felt natural to what she would do in what we know, and that's actually in that same opening. She has not accepted the fact that her father is gone, and she has been alone for 8 years, and she's been pressured to sign the paperwork so she'll have the estate and all the money. And so she hasn't done that. That's why she's a bike messenger. She is choosing to live on her own.
Right.
And at a point where she needs money, she finds out about this race thing that they do called Catch the Fox, where one messenger puts on a foxtail, and they get like a 5-second head start, and then everybody else chases them and tries to get the foxtail. And there's
the vehicle to show us her physical superiority as well, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And the ingenuity comes in when she's biking and she's kind of getting caught up. They're getting closer. They're getting further. She's getting away, and she comes up behind a truck that has a trailer on it, and she jumps into the back of the trailer with her bike, and then she just sits there and lets it take her, and all of the people lose her and everything. And it's just it is one of those moments that also sets up that she is not only very intelligent, book smart, but she is intelligent on her
Street
feet.
smart.
Like
yeah.
she knows that she has to think quickly on her feet. And it was a good story building, like character building moment.
It's a good 30 minutes. That's a good beginning of the movie. It starts to the pacing starts to suffer towards the second half, where I don't know how much of this movie we need to run down, but
we don't need to run down.
In signing the papers, she finds a clue that leads to her father's. It's not his grave. It's
his hideout.
He would be buried.
Yeah, it's his.
Well, it turns out to be his office where he's been doing all his work. She finds all of his studies. Yeah, it takes her to China, where she finds the guy that was going to sell him, her father, a boat. But she finds the son of that guy, and he becomes her ally. I could have seen more of him. Actually, I thought he was a cool, fun dude. Yeah, I liked him. But it kind of slows a little bit.
So this is where I come into this, where I fully agree with you, because and I'm gonna go back to how I started this. Tomb Raider gonna run in at an hour and 58 minutes. I like Alicia.
All about run times around here.
I love Alicia Vikander as Lara.
She's a freaking beast,
man,
dude.
I am 100% sold on, and give me more movies with her.
Wow.
I'm into it. I will watch them. Okay,
she is insane.
She is awesome. I think she was a great cast. She pulled in, and she was an awesome Lara Croft. I like a lot about this movie. What I don't like is that it drags. And it is absolutely, there are things that this movie probably should have been 15 to 20 minutes shorter at like minimum. And I could almost see it being dropped down to, this could probably make it an hour and 25. Like, I don't know that this needs to be a 2-hour movie for what they're doing. And part of the thing that happens here is, to me, you end up getting two very different movies. And while I agree with you that the first 30 minutes are terrific, I think the first half of the movie is really, really good. I think it's a very solid half where she is not Lara Croft yet. When you get to the I'm gonna be Lara Croft bit, everything kind of slows down in a weird way. And that's what I don't get. You would think that the first part would be the slow bit. It's when she is, we're going to go on a boat. We're going to go there. And like, building that up took a long time that they didn't need to take. And there's little bits here and there. And the movie dramatically shifts when Walton Goggins shows up. Like, that's where the movie becomes something totally different.
As any movie does.
and again, love the guy, love him to death. He's great here too. I think he makes for a good bad guy. He's fun to watch.
We don't get a ton of him, man. Like, they don't introduce the bad guy, him, until I want to say halfway through the movie.
Right. No, and that's
we don't really. Yeah, and I guess that's what we're getting at.
Right, and so continue. I want you to continue with the pacing, because I think you're gonna pull out more spots than I will.
But I think the pacing comes from exactly what you're saying, that there's kind of two movies at play here. Like, one of them is
they're competing with each other
there
too.
You go. Yeah, and one of them is the hour 30 movie. Like, one of them's, for lack of a better word, one of them is the Tomb Raider that Angelina Jolie made. Essentially, like, that was, that's what you kind of expected to see from a Tomb Raider movie. This one doesn't want to be that movie, by leaps and bounds. Like, but it kind of still is. Like, it's coming from that. Like, I'm impressed at the work it does do to become more than this is definitely more of a movie than those other Tomb Raider movies.
Totally.
Like, more of a movie is a weird phrase, but
it feels less like a video game adaptation and more like, okay, we know it's a video game adaptation, but it actually feels like they tried to make a movie, as opposed to tried to fit in
a serious movie.
Yeah, instead of trying to fit in as much gallows, or not even gallows humor, just humor and winks and nods about, Angelina Jolie wearing the exact outfit and this and that, the other thing. I mean, Alicia Vikander wears the outfit, but it makes sense in this case.
Yeah. It's not bright blue and butt shorts or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's all. So it is those. It's totally those two competing things. Like, I feel like. and again, I'm impressed at it makes strides. This is a better one of those, and it's a pretty good one of what it's trying to be, but it doesn't quite ever transcend. It doesn't become a great movie on its own. It maybe this is just me, but it literally becomes Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail at one point, where she's leading them through the crypt to get to the bad guy at the end. So she's kind of like they've literally employed her as they employ Indy to solve all the puzzles for her, for them ahead of time.
I kept expecting Dominic West to pull out that like Jehovah begins with an I, you know, like.
Yeah, but that's the exact problem, is that it's and it sucks, but this movie exists in this world. It's not as good as that. It's not, and that's an impossible standard, but that's why you just don't do that, I guess. Like, it's not as good as that, and you're just thinking about that the whole time and how amazing that was in Indiana Jones. So it's got other problems, obviously, but it's just none of the puzzles. It's not as entertaining. There's nothing, not as much on the line either. The only thing that's on the line is that they're going to discover this girl, and if her superpower is real, it's going to, the whole world's going to die. So.
Yeah, it is
that old thing.
It's another one of those, like, so the problem I have with that is you make the threat so big that it's like there's no suspension of disbelief, there's no attempt, there's no possibility that the bad guy is going to win. I want to think that, okay, maybe Lara she's not as skilled as she will become. Maybe she should lose this first one. Maybe they should get the artifact and they sell it, and it's the thing. And it's like that first part of Last Crusade, right? Where Indy meets the guy who he basically emulates later on, and the guy says, "Life's not fair, kid." It's that moment, right?
Right.
I guess overall where I'm at with the movie is I actually liked it. I liked it overall.
I did like it. Yeah,
it was fun. I will probably actually watch it again because I thought it was fun. I really liked her portrayal of Lara. I liked the Lee Wen character. I really liked Dominic West in this. I thought he was, he was fine for me. I like the guy a lot, so it works. I
do, but actually, the more I think about his actual character, like, there's not much there.
No, there's not a ton there, but what he's got, I think he works with, and it's fine. And I hope that they will make a couple more of these. Like, I would like to see Alicia Vikander's Lara Croft grow and see where they take it, because she, like you said, man, she was a beast in this movie. She is so really good.
And they set it up for a sequel. I don't know how well this thing performed, so I don't know, but they gave it somewhere to go.
They did,
at least. So we'll see if it goes there.
On
Book Club for Movies.
Hey!
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Should I not?
It's up to you. We could save it for next week too. I don't know.
I don't have a lot to say about it because I don't want to say a ton. I went and saw Hereditary.
One of those movies you can't say much without giving it away.
Went and saw Hereditary. Comes in at 2 hours 7 minutes. Written and directed by Ari Aster. Stars Toni Collette, Millie Shapiro, Gabriel Byrne, and Alex Wolff. It's in theaters right now.
You found a Gabriel Byrne movie.
I did.
It's always fun when that happens.
I love Gabriel Byrne. I actually mentioned that to Beth on the way out. I was like, I also love seeing Gabriel Byrne in things.
Yeah, it's always funny. Like, I found one. I found one. What was that one? I already forgot it.
End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's the thing about a Gabriel Byrne movie. No, is that
Usual Suspects.
We have a movie for next week. It was freaking the Assault on Precinct 13 remake.
Oh yeah.
Let's never mention it again.
There's not a lot I can say about Hereditary without. This is a movie that it's number one. It is a horror movie, and it's a horror movie in multiple ways. Not just like there are a couple of sequences that are a lot of people had a moment with, at least one of them, that is so well done and so out of nowhere that everybody in the theater all had the same reaction. Everybody went, "Whoa!" It was
vomiting.
No. Everybody was just, there was like people were shocked at this. It was not,
Okay.
So it's got a couple moments like that, but and it works on so many different levels. The performances are like, especially Toni Collette. That's an Oscar performance right there. Like, she is out of this world good. And she's great in almost everything
good.
she does.
She is.
This is like different level. There are moments in this where you read her face and you see just like what's going on, and you feel it. You totally do it. And Ari Aster, the director, this is his first movie.
Wow, really?
Dude wrote and directed the hell out of this. I totally understand why this got made. It is unreal. It's so good. I highly recommend you see it, and I highly recommend if you do, try to go in not knowing anything about it. The less you know, the better. I
can do that.
It definitely
I'm pretty good at that,
deserves
turns out.
Okay, and that's going to be the end of the show. Thanks for coming by. Remember, if you got things you want to say to us, you can yell at us. You can throw a podcast at bookclubformovies.com. You can hit us up on Twitter, all that stuff.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. If you want to join the Book Club for Movies, just check out our selection this week. Michael Clayton on Netflix. Get your Clooney on.
They jump in here and they jump in there. With a the people going crazy. When the band started blasting out, the trumpeter was good without a doubt. But one thing I couldn't realize, why they all had the glasses on their eyes. I thought the bassman was going to